I think like many cities in the world, we're getting denser urban congestion in and around the AM and PM peaks, and then quite sparse transport in between during the days just off the shoulders. So what that means for us is we need to be pretty intuitive about how we think of transport all through the day. There's a real need for Australia to keep on developing its backbone of mass transit, but how you get people to and from that mass transit network really creates an opportunity for autonomous vehicles, for on-demand, for ride sharing, for all these new and innovative ways of travelling around and thinking about how I want to select my journey rather than just being told what I need to do. I think as we see generational change here in Australia, there is really a strong demand for the personalisation of journeys, for travel choice, for more control over how I get from point A to point B. So as we think about the Gen Ys, the millennials, and how they interact with their smartphones and other devices, we're seeing a real personalisation of the journey. And not just that, we're seeing a cry out for services when they want them, not when the timetable tells them to turn up. Australia is a spread out continent. We're essentially 7 major cities on a footprint the size of most of Europe. So what you see here is PTAs struggling with how they move people around. What people might not know in Australia, particularly in Sydney, Brisbane and Melbourne, is strong congestion in the AM and PM peaks, particularly when the school's in. What that means is that for a short period of time, it's really quite hard to move people around the city. The PTAs struggle with this. They're looking to make greater efficiency in how they move people around. On-demand plays a huge part in that because on-demand allows you to flex up and flex down with the travel pattern. I think one of the exciting things about on-demand and the new innovations in transport at the moment is the need to co-create, the need to share our stories and the need to learn from each other. So Keolis Downer in Australia has 3 on-demand networks which are about to come into fruition. What we see in each of these networks is various models for dealing with fleet and optimising the fleet depending on how many patrons we think we're going to have to deal with and then how we manage drivers. So we use sometimes staff drivers, sometimes casual drivers, whatever it needs to meet the demand. We're coming to a point where smartphones are quite dynamic. The apps are really, really intuitive, and the algorithms and analytics that sit behind those apps that are being developed at the moment are allowing us to do things that, whilst we could dream before, we couldn't actually turn into a reality. For the first time, I think we're seeing really intuitive on-demand networks. What I would really like to see is people to be able to plan their journey the night before and not need a car. So I either have a ride share, I have an on-demand service, I have something similar to an Uber that takes me to a mass transit network. Hopefully there's not more than one connection, but I'm getting first mile sorted out, I'm getting a high frequency mass transit line, and my last mile takes me right to my door. I really don't see the need to own cars in the cities, and I like the idea that we might be able to do that, not through a private taxi service, but through public transport.